Hey, how's everybody doing today? My name's Dave Michael. I'm with Samaritan Behavioral Health. I'm a second step instructor with Samaritan Behavioral Health. And I was just wondering, have any of you ever felt angry, sad, embarrassed? I know I have. And I'm pretty sure that everybody else has. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about emotions. And we're going to be talking about how our brain is wired, how it acts when we have those strong emotions. And we're going to talk about some good, positive ways to kind of deal with those strong emotions as well. So first, one thing that I want everybody to really, this is kind of a big key point for today. And it's we can't control how something or someone makes us feel, but we can control how we react and respond to those feelings. And that's really important. That's going to be kind of our key statement for today, all right? So that's why it's up here on the board behind me, and that's kind of the key. So for instance, when we're talking about the strong emotions, we might be angry about something. And that's fine, that's understandable. We all get angry, right? We all have those strong emotions. But like with anger, we don't want to act out in aggression, do we? Because if we do that, it's just going to get us in trouble probably. So with that, I want to start with a short video. And this video kind of talks about how our brains work when we are having those strong emotions. And it's really kind of cool, kind of interesting. So we're going to watch that video right now.
Have you ever wondered what happens inside your brain and your body when you experience strong emotions? What causes your emotions? Why do you feel the way you do? Let's go inside your brain to see what is happening when you feel strong emotions. What you see here, moving up and down the pathways of the brain, are called sensory input. You know, what you see, hear, touch, smell, or taste. Some sensory input triggers emotions in your brain. Some very strong emotions. Let's see what that looks like. Let's say you're at school and someone told you that your friend said that he did all the work on your science project, that you didn't do any of it. You know it's not true, so it immediately triggers an emotion. And where does this anger go? It heads for the amygdala. This is your amygdala. It's an area in the primitive, automatic part of your brain. The part that runs things that you don't do consciously, like breathing or making your heart beat. Think of the amygdala as your feelings alarm. Whenever your brain gets input that is emotional, it sends it here. Your feelings alarm is automatic, and it's always set to go off instantly. When it does, it sends out urgent messages to get your brain and body ready to respond. Stress hormones are released, sending adrenaline rushing through your body. Your heart beats faster to pump more blood to your muscles and brain. Your lungs take in air faster to supply your body with oxygen. Sometimes your body's reaction is so strong that your stomach or your head hurts, or you feel shaky. You might even feel like you're losing control. At this point, you're probably not thinking very clearly. That's not surprising. The amygdala can't think at all. That's not its job. Luckily, it also sends a message to the thinking part of your brain. Hey cortex, wake up. You've got an emotion to deal with. Wake up! This is your cortex. It's the thinking part of your brain. It's the gray matter, all folded in nooks and crannies that covers the outside of your brain. It's where you decide what to do with your emotions. The first thing the thinking part of your brain does is try to figure out the situation. What is this emotion? What's really happening? What should I do about it? Now, the thinking part of your brain doesn't work as fast as the automatic part. It takes time for emotional information to get here, and even longer to process it. Sometimes the thinking part of your brain gets overwhelmed. Your emotions take over, and you end up doing or saying something you regret. This is especially true during adolescence, when your amygdala is more active, and your emotions can sometimes feel stronger than they used to in the past. So before you do something you'll be sorry about later, you need to notice your strong emotions and use the thinking part of your brain to help you manage them. You take some slow breaths. You ask yourself if you really know what the situation is. Did your friend really say that? Do you need more information? And now that you're calming down, the thinking part of your brain sends a message back down to turn off your feelings alarm. But with all that adrenaline pumping through your body right now, it's going to take a while for the feeling of anger to completely go away. You just have to keep telling yourself everything's under control. That way, by the time you see your friend next, you are calm and ready to talk to him about the situation.
All right, so that's kind of how our brain works when we're feeling those strong emotions. When something happens that makes us angry, that's what is going on in our brain, right? That amygdala, that goes off right away, right? That's that feelings alarm. Now it's going off, and when that starts going off, we're not really thinking clearly yet, are we? Because they talked about the cortex, and it takes a little while for the cortex to catch up to what the amygdala is thinking and dealing with. But initially, you might be thinking some negative thoughts. You might be, kind of upset, angry. You're not really thinking right. So what we need to do is we need to stop. We need to stop and give ourselves a minute to calm down and to think. Give our brain some time to start thinking clearly. So we call these emotion management strategies, and they are going to allow our cortex time to start thinking rationally, right? So an emotion management strategy can be something as simple as breathing, focusing on our breathing, right? Taking some slow, deep breaths. It's good for us to do that. Our body needs that oxygen. If we're going to be thinking clearly, we need to be taking those slow, deep breaths to be getting oxygen to our brain so we can be thinking clearly, right? Another thing you can do is you can count. While you're taking those deep breaths, count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's going to help you to relax as well. Slow, deep breaths, counting, and some other things that we can do. Talking to someone, if you're still having a hard time dealing with those strong emotions initially, maybe go off and talk to an adult. Talk to a friend, kind of say, hey, this is what's going on. I'm really upset. Maybe they can help you get to try to focus on what you need to focus on, okay? Just think about how you're feeling. If you're feeling hot, if you're feeling your muscles are all tense, think about that and try to relax. Try to let that tension go. So, and again, just stepping away from the situation for a few minutes. If you're having an encounter with somebody and you're getting angry or you're getting upset or embarrassed, if you can walk away for a couple of minutes, take some deep breaths, count. Those are all good things. Those are all emotion management strategies, okay? And then we need to reframe. If we start having these negative thoughts, we need to reframe those negative thoughts. Look at them from a different perspective and try to have try to use some positive self-talk or try to reframe our thoughts. There's 3 questions we can ask ourselves when it comes to reframing our thoughts. 1, ask yourself, am I assuming something bad will happen? Am I assuming something bad will happen? 2, am I assuming the other person was intentionally being mean? Am I assuming the other person was intentionally being mean? Think about that, especially if you're having an issue with one of your friends, And then 3rd, what can I learn from this situation? If you stop and you start thinking about that question, that's going to help you reframe those negative thoughts, okay? So, in another way of reframing unhelpful thoughts is to use positive self-talk. So research has been done, And it shows that we tend to focus on the negative. And that's called negativity bias. And we're going to watch a short video about negativity bias right now. And it's kind of interesting.
Was it easier for you to come up with things that went wrong than things that went right? Me too. Turns out, this is a universal human behavior. In general, people focus more on the negative than the positive. Scientists even have a name for it. They call it negativity bias. But how exactly do they know about this bias? You can measure brain activity by putting what's called electrodes on the brain. Let's say you hook up electrodes to a bunch of people and you show them a series of pictures. The pictures aren't positive or negative. Then you show them a positive picture and you see how long it takes the brain to react. The brain will react, but it takes several seconds. If you show them a negative picture, the brain reacts immediately. And by the way, if you give people a choice, they'll continue looking at the negative picture longer. Have you ever noticed how someone can say lots of nice things to you, but if they say one mean thing, you end up thinking about the mean thing for hours or even days? This is because people are hardwired for negativity. But why? Scientists think the negativity bias kept our ancestors alive. If we missed a threat, it could be fatal. But if we missed an opportunity, it wasn't a big deal. The problem is, the world we live in now is very different from the world our ancestors lived in. Now, scientists are finding that people who have a positivity bias live longer, are healthier, and even get paid more. So what exactly are we supposed to do with all of this? Here's the cool thing. You're in charge. You actually have a lot more power than you think. You can change your brain and make it more positive. So just be positive, right? It sounds easy, and you've probably heard it 1,000 times before, but now you know it's not a natural thing for humans to do. So it takes some hard work and real practice to make it into a habit that will turn your negativity bias into a positivity bias.
So we need to focus on the positive, right? So I encourage everyone to think of and write down at least one thing that you're good at. Think of and write down one thing that you're good at. Think about and write down at least one thing that went well over the past couple of days. And then think about and write down one thing that you're grateful for. So doing this will help us to begin to rewire our brains in a sense, right? And we'll start to focus on paying attention to the positive instead of the negative. And it's a lot better to have a positivity bias than a negativity bias, right? So, and again, just to end, our key statement, we can't control how something or someone makes us feel, but we can control how we react and respond to those feelings. So again, my name's Dave Michael with Samaritan Behavioral Health, and I am a second step instructor. So thank you very much for watching, and hopefully we'll be seeing each other again soon. Thank you.